All right, the time has come. I'm getting rid of pretty much all of my camera gear. Now let me explain why. Now, obviously I'm very heavy into the tech and camera space, right? If you take a look at my channel, you'll see how many videos I have on different cameras. So part of my actual job is to buy different cameras, test them out, not only review them for you guys, but also get the right camera gear for myself and what my content workflow needs are. Which, don't get me wrong, I absolutely love it, but it's very easy to start collecting a bunch of different cameras. And that's kind of where I'm at right now. So let me show you guys what all cameras I have right now, and then also what cameras I'm keeping and the reasons why for both. Right here, I have 3 of my cameras. This is the Sony ZV-E1. Right here is the Leica Q2 Ghost Edition. And then this is my latest pickup, which is the Fuji X100VI. And then in addition to those 3 cameras, I have the Sony FX3, which I'm recording on right now. And then also the past Fuji, which is the X100V. Yeah, we're talking 5 camera bodies. For some reason, I just like standing while I'm making these videos sometimes. It just feels more natural. I don't know. Actually, I'm forgetting something. Hang on. Hydration, little Ghost hydration, not sponsored, but this is the orange squeeze. This is so good. Okay, so 5 camera bodies. Which am I selling and which am I keeping? Let's go selling first, which is the Fuji X100V. Absolutely amazing camera, and it's one of my favorite cameras I've ever picked up. Just with the addition of me getting the X100VI, which is the newer version of it, there was just honestly no reason for me to have 2 different camera bodies. So that one was an easy one to kind of let go of, and it just made sense. Now the next one I'm getting rid of is this right here. That's right, I'm letting go of my very much loved camera, the Sony ZV-E1. So if you guys have been staying up with the channel, I actually had to send in my ZV-E1 at the end of 2023. The mic port actually went bad in it, so I had to send it in to Sony for repair. Long story short, it was on back order for so long, they didn't have any replacement parts in stock. So they actually just sent me a brand new ZV-E1, completely new serial number, completely new unit in exchange for completely free. So that was actually amazing. And so I think I got this camera body at like the start of February. And as I'm recording this video right now, mid-April, yes, I took the camera body out of the box, but truthfully, I haven't even set up this camera fully yet. So this camera is brand new. And that's not to say that I don't love this camera. I've actually made a ton of videos on my channel about it, and pretty much all my cameras if you want a little bit more in-depth thoughts on each one. But honestly, with my current needs, I've just been using the Sony FX3 so much more. I haven't really been needing 2 camera angles a lot, so I've kind of just been lazy with not setting this thing up because the FX3 is already ready to go. So ZV-E1, I absolutely love this camera. Nothing's wrong with it at all, but it just doesn't make sense for me to hang on to right now, especially with some future plans I have, which I'll talk about here in a minute. Now that brings me to this camera right here, which is probably the hardest decision I've had to make in a while, but also kind of an easy decision as well. So I picked up this camera about a year ago. This is the Leica Q2 Ghost Edition. Now again, I made several videos on this channel about this camera, and this one was special to me, not only because it's an amazing camera, but also kind of holds a special time and place to me in time, I guess if you want to say. The company I work for, Ghost, I actually just had gotten promoted at that time. It had always been a dream for me to buy a Leica camera and kind of have that in my camera bag. So once the Ghost edition of this dream camera of mine was released, it just made perfect sense. So I picked this camera up. I made some of my favorite videos I ever have on this channel with this camera. And over the past year, I've documented and shot some of my favorite photos I've ever taken with this guy right here. I mean, it's such a sick camera. But to be honest, I probably haven't even taken a photo with this camera for the past 4 or 5 months. And really because I've been using my Fuji cameras so much. I was using the X100V, and then now I have the X100VI. I have both those cameras sitting there, and pretty much every single time I'm reaching for the Fuji instead of the Leica, which I might make an entire dedicated video going between the Fuji versus the Leica, so let me know if you'd be interested in that. But plain and simple, this camera is just collecting dust, and especially being in the tech and camera space, it just doesn't make sense to have something that holds so much value just sitting around. So the Leica Q2, as much as I hate to see it go, it just kind of makes sense. So let's talk about the cameras that I'm keeping. Now you may have already done the math on what cameras I'm keeping. The Fuji X100VI is genuinely one of my favorite cameras I've ever purchased. I've really been using this thing on almost a daily basis, even if it's just quick photos for like Instagram stories or wherever. It just makes so much sense to have in my bag and kind of have as an everyday camera for me. I use it 99% of the time for photos, but let's say I do want a second camera angle for something I'm filming. The video is actually pretty solid in this camera too, so I think it would be more than enough if I'm in a pinch, I need a second camera angle. It could do do the job. And then obviously the Sony FX3 is my pride and joy. This is the camera I use for like most everything that I do. I picked this camera up on launch day, whatever it was, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and I've used it pretty much every single day since then in some capacity. If I'm shooting sit down videos like this, it's the camera I'm reaching for. If I'm shooting vertical videos, this is actually the camera I've been reaching for more and more, especially because it has all the different mounting points. It makes shooting vertical content actually really easy. And I actually use it for a good amount of my photos as well. 12 megapixels has been plenty for shooting anything for social media, and I guarantee you guys haven't even noticed. So this camera, if I had to just have one, it would be the FX3. It's still almost a perfect camera to me, so it was just a no-brainer. I had to keep it. I'm trying to get this camera straight here. Now I have a couple quick thoughts about all of this. Number one is about that Leica. I've made it a point in my entire creative career here to try to not hold a sentimental value to a piece of tech. The reason why is with any technology, right? Of course, after several years, it's going to start to become somewhat outdated or even just not be the right fit for your current workflow. So when you hold a sentimental value to a piece of equipment, sometimes you don't want to let go of it, even if it does make sense. So you're talking about the Leica Q2, which brand new was like around a $6,000 camera. To this day, I'm still going to be able to get several $1,000s out of it. So it makes more sense to have that sitting on your shelf collecting dust, or selling it and be able to reinvest it back into your business or back into other gear or whatever you need. So with all this being said, yes, I'm getting rid of a good amount of my camera gear, actually more than half of it. But I think it's actually important from time to time to take a check-in with all your different inventory. Maybe it's your camera bodies, maybe you have a bunch of lenses, maybe you have an old laptop or whatever it is, right? And that's not to say that there isn't a time and place where you need a bunch of different equipment. There's nothing wrong with that at all, but especially if you are a one-man band content creator or freelancer or whatever, I guarantee you have something in your camera bag or in your home or office, wherever, that you aren't actually utilizing as much as you could. So is that worth keeping? I don't know. Maybe it's better to sell some of these things and reinvest back into your craft in another way. So end of an era for quite a few of these cameras. I absolutely loved having them all. Just right now, it doesn't make the most sense for me. So I'd rather kind of just have a nice little refresh. I'm sure there's gonna be something else dropping this year that I wanna pick up and review. And I would much rather find a happy home for these cameras and reinvest that money back into this in another way. And if you're interested in picking up any of these cameras, stay tapped into my IG, because I'm probably gonna be selling them on my IG stories, or at least posting them there for pretty fair price as well. And I would love for them to find an awesome home to go to. So guys, that is gonna be it for me in today's video. I appreciate you hanging out with me and talking cameras as always. Be sure to drop this video a thumbs up. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel as well. We are on the road to 100K. I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace.